Hey YouTube, Hillbilly F100 here again. Picking it back up on the F100. What you're looking at is a driver's side spring pocket. My goal for today, hopefully I'll have enough gas left in my tanks here to cut these two rivets and that rivet. I've already disconnected the brake line that was setting right there. It's a bracket. I've already unbolted that. I'm not gonna have enough oomph or enough juice in the battery on this camera to do a time lapse, and it's so tight in there. There's nothing you can see. But what I'm gonna do, like I said, I'm gonna cut the ends of these heads off on these rivets, hopefully, if I have enough juice, and then I'll pop them loose. And once I do that, then that whole spring pocket should come out. Stay tuned. If I run into any obstacles, I'll let you know what they are when I turn the recorder back on. Alright, hang tight. Alright tubers, I don't know if you can tell or not, but that's a smoldering piece of slag. Cut out that rivet, cut out these two rivets. They probably have to be ground down just a tad. And there could be some more stuff. Maybe a rivet down there holding this thing on. I don't know yet. I'm nursing the gas along, so we'll see. I'm gonna start hammering this thing off and see what happens. Hang tight. Okay, kind of like I suspected, there's some more hidden rivets. There's a bolt, looks like right there, which it's about to become a rivet because I'm just gonna rip it off. And then right in behind, where you at? Right there is another one. It's behind this bump stop. Directly below the two that I cut off earlier. It's just this one piece is being held on. So let's get this thing off here. I don't know. My coil spring's over there, and my one's, I don't know where to set you guys to get a good view of this, so just hang tight. Alright YouTube, I'm back. A little safety precaution. People always talk about wearing eye protection when cutting, using the cutting torch, welder, and that kind of thing. I just got a slag or piece of molten metal just went right down in my ear, and that hurt like a son of a gun. And so ear protection might be a good thing too. Anyways, I got the rivets down there cut off. They may have to be ground down a little bit. I'm gonna start hammering away on this thing and see if I can get this thing to come loose. I also got the two bolts, the nuts that were holding the engine mount. I got them cut off as well, so hang tight and we'll get this thing going. Alright tubers, I got the spring perch off. It's a little grimy back in here, but all in all, still a solid frame. This is a 65. You can see there is a lot of road grime and everything that gets collected back in there, but there's no actual rust to speak of. Now, this is a spring perch. One thing to note, this hole, and this hole, I cut it off, cut the heads off. I had to go back in, wallow out the holes, basically make sure I got the rivet good, and then the two bottom rivets, which is right there, and I think there's a bolt somewhere. But what had to happen is, once I got this plate off, which this plate goes right there, once I got it off, you can see where it used to go. There's the shape difference right there. once I got that off, I had to go back through and then cut more of the rivet off, because as the the thicker, the deeper that you go, the more that rivet gets exposed. In fact, this rivet right there is still sticking out a little bit. So I'll just have to grind that down when the time comes, when it comes to cleaning up the frame. So this is a good spot, because now I'll be able to see what I'm up against as far as the cross member on the top and the bottom. But now I'm going to head over to the other side. I'm barely got enough oomph or gas left in my tanks, so hopefully I'll be able to get it done with what I have, and then maybe fill the tanks up to cut out the cross member. I may use a Sawzall. Who knows? I got the grinding wheels too I could use. But yeah, it's progress. Stay tuned. Okay, we're back on the passenger side now. As you can see, it's basically all unmolested. So we're going to do the same thing on this side. We're going to cut this rivet off, these two rivets off. Going to take this bracket off right here. There's a rivet under there and a rivet under here, and the bolt right there. Hopefully, I'm praying that I have enough in the tanks to do it. So here goes everything. Stay tuned. Alright, tubers, what you're seeing now is the passenger side. Again, it's not as bad as I've seen. There's just some road grime, more or less. Minor pitting down at the bottom right here. I don't know if y'all can see that or not. It's just real minor pitting. All in all, this truck is pretty good in the rust department. I understand a lot of other trucks, in fact you can see in there, you see there's solid metal in behind it. Right there in behind. A lot of these trucks won't be that way. They say that in these frames, these are real troublesome areas, is in behind these spring pockets. Just need to knock these down, grind them off, these old rivets. And now we get to deal with the main cross member, which is going to be a beast. Most likely won't be able to use gas on that one, just because there's too many fuel lines, oil lines, there's too much oil spilled. Probably should be better off using a Sawzall or something. So stay tuned. Alright, YouTube, as you saw in the previous little segment, I got the spring perches off, or whatever you want to call them, spring hats, I don't know, whatever. Anyways, so now it's time to hook up the old engine hoist. I've got a chain somewhere, I don't remember where I set it, I gotta find it. Probably hook it around the exhaust manifold just enough to hoist the engine, just to support the engine. Then I'm going to start cutting on the cross member and getting it out of there. It's not going to be an easy process, I could already tell you that. I think I'm going to try doing the Sawzall. I think that's probably the least. It may be hard and cumbersome, but I think it's the least dangerous way to do it. And I also think it's the cleanest way. I've seen a lot of people that cut it out, and if I follow along the frame rails, right on the inside of the frame rails, and just cut all the way through, I think it'll make for a clean job. And then, you know, of course I'll have to get in there and kind of see what I'm up against after that. Wish me luck, and stay tuned. Hey YouTube, this is going to be the last little video for the night. What I want to show was that I started cutting into the cross member. You can probably tell that that's a cut and torch line. I don't know if you can see or not, right there. It's not going to focus in too well, but that's a fine line. I started cutting it with my Sawzall, and it's just too cumbersome up and under here. So I went ahead and used a cut and torch. I've got it all cut free except for it's hot, so I don't really want to touch it. But the top up here, there's a, I'm gonna have to cut a elf bead or whatever you want to call it right there, and then it should be fairly free. I've got the engine mounted, so that's basically where we're at. I don't know if you could, probably can't see. Yeah, you can't see under there. So after I get done with this side, I'm going to switch over to the other side, and then we'll get to cutting on it, get the cross member dropped down, clean up the other cross member, and look at welding or bolting or whatever. I'm not committed to either one yet. I think I'm going to weld it in, but I really want to get this thing on the road, so whatever it takes. If it's easier to bolt it in, then I'm bolting it in. Please subscribe if you have any comments, questions, or anything like that, and let me know. Thanks. Hey YouTube, back now working on the driver's side cross member, cutting it out. On the passenger side, I was able to use the cutting torch. It's cut pretty much all of it out. There may be a couple little spots of a 1/4 inch or so that's still, like, you know, loosely hanging on like a loose tooth. But you know, again, I've got the engine hoist. It's supporting the engine. Now I'm here on the driver's side again. A couple things that I want to point out to everybody. For one, the oil filter, right smack dab in the middle. Of course, this is the line for the mechanical oil gauge. Not so concerned about that. Around the oil filter, obviously there's a residue of oil, you know, so you got to be real careful about that and starting fires, because basically where I'm cutting is right along here, so it's pretty close. But more importantly than that, you'll see that bad boy. That's the fuel pump. Of course, you know, that's two things that don't mix real well, is fire and gas. So the fuel line comes down, and oh, look where it goes, right across that cross member. As I told you guys going into all this, I'm going to try my hardest to document pros, cons, goods, bads, everything. And this is definitely one of those things that I didn't consider. I didn't even notice or think about. I actually came over here, was about to do a little intro, you know, explaining to you guys exactly what I was going to do, and I was going to shut the video camera off and start cutting. Then at the last minute I saw that line. I'm like, whoa, wait a minute, that's not good. So I went ahead and turned the camera on and decided to show you guys that. The kicker is it's a metal fuel line right back there. I don't know if y'all can see that or not. It goes from rubber to metal and then on down. You know, the crappy thing is I could probably cut that line or bend it back and then, you know, and just redo it, which I maybe end up what I do, what I have to do. But the tank does have fuel in it, so I know there's going to be some fuel dripping and dropping, and again, I don't want anything to catch fire and lead back up to that tank. I do have a little bit of a reprieve, probably more than what most people will have, is because I've got on my inner fender, again, I've got my whole front suspension or front sheet metal is on the truck still. And that was a pain in the butt trying to get to the top side of the other side of this cross member. But with this one, the previous owner cut out a huge gaping hole right there. I have to assume it's for him to easily get the oil filter on and off. I guess I don't really know why he did it. So I could get to this cross member a lot easier. But again, I'm still cutting right next to that stinking fuel line. So it's a monkey wrench. It's definitely not a deal stop or a deal breaker by no means. It's just something I gotta kind of reposition my thinking a tad bit. I guess stay tuned and I'll let you know what I end up doing. Alright, thanks for watching. Alright, YouTube. Well, I don't know if you can see that or not. Right there is the fuel line. I went in and bolted. There's a center bolt right there, right smack dab in the middle of that cross member. It's basically just a little holder. But now that that is off, let's see if you guys can. You really can't tell. It's my stinking lighting in here is pathetic to say the least. But now that it's off, you can see how it literally will move clear out of the way. So that's a good thing. So that means I can commit to cutting. Stay tuned. Alright, tubers, got a little bit started on it, cut, ran out of gas, which I knew was going to happen soon. Right there's where we started cutting on that side, and then on the top side, of course, excuse me, there's the frame, right there's the, where I started cutting. I got about right there, and then it started putting out on me. So I had just this side to go, and then just that side, and then down, and then that's really about it. I might try to finish it off with the Sawzall the rest of the way. Once I get the bulky cross member out of there, I'm going to go ahead and clean it up and grind it and get it all ready to receive the other cross, or the Jaguar cross member. Clean the frame up a little bit. This would be about 1,000,000 times easier if the engine was out and if the front sheet metal was out. But and for me, it really wasn't a matter of the time it would take to get this stuff off. It was more, where am I going to put it? You know, the space. Anyways, hopefully what I'm doing here is helping somebody. You know, if I can give any kind of pointers or suggestions, you know, I'll be more than happy to do that. Again, probably the biggest pointer out of this video is, you know, if you can at all costs, take all your front sheet metal off at the very least. It makes it 1,000,000 times easier to get in to cut that cross member. If you could have the engine out, that's even better. But you know, people do what they got to do. So thanks for watching. Please rate the videos, subscribe, like, thumbs up, thumbs down. You know, I'm cool, whatever. But hope I've helped somebody, and stay tuned for the next video. Hopefully they're coming soon. Going to continue on with the cutting of this cross member. Hopefully in the next video, I'd love to have that cross member getting yanked out. I think that's a very doable task. And then once it's out, I'm going to put the Jaguar cross member in. I'll probably put the wheels and tires on it and roll it up under it into place, and kind of go from there. Alright, thanks for watching.